This is Super Yacht News with Usmanov.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, it feels like an age since I made one of these videos because I've been so busy at the Monaco Yacht Show, but let's get into it because there's quite a lot of information to get out today. The first story is about Alisher Usmanov, the owner of Dilbar, of course. He has various properties in Germany and he's under investigation right now by the German authorities for money laundering and tax evasion. And they did searches of the properties that they believe he owns in Bavaria, and they also searched Dilbar. 60 agents went on to Dilbar a few days later. It turns out that in the searches of the buildings in Bavaria, they found what they believe to be 4 genuine Fabergé eggs. Now, they said they have to confirm that they are genuine or not, but I think it's quite clear that they will be real. I mean, he's worth, $20 billion. I don't think he's going to have fake Fabergé eggs. Obviously, they have to confirm them, but it should be noted that the value of those Fabergé eggs, if they are genuine, will be somewhere close to what Victor Vekselberg, the owner of Motor Yacht Tango, which has been arrested in Palma, he purchased 4 Fabergé eggs a number of years ago for $100 million. So this gives you an idea of the probable value of those eggs. Okay, so we'll move on to the next story because there's quite a few stories today and I'm going to try and keep them shorter just to get through them all. Okay, Motor Yacht Nord, you'll remember Nord, she headed out to Vladivostok at the beginning of the sanctions after the invasion of Ukraine. She's been out in Vladivostok ever since. I mean, that's been her base. She reflagged to a Russian flag, and then she's been traveling around the islands in that area of Russia over the last few months, and we've been tracking the boat here, but she didn't really go anywhere of any interest, so we just didn't really update you on that. However, last week, a contact in Vladivostok told us that the vessel was now at a terminal that's only used generally for refueling and also for when it's preparing to leave, i.e. going through immigration and things like that. And the vessel has indeed left Vladivostok and is heading to Hong Kong. Now, initially the AIS said it was heading to Vietnam. It's already changed its destination to Hong Kong. I think maybe they will go to Hong Kong, I don't know, but I definitely don't think that's the final destination. So it'll be interesting to see where she heads next. I have a suspicion she might be heading to Turkey, just because I have no information to suggest that. It's just because all the other Russian boats are there, and now that the owner's realized that he can use his boat there, maybe he's heading down that way. All right. Okay, so we'll move on to the next story. Obviously, we'll bring you updates on that journey. Okay, Motor Yacht Axioma. You'll remember Motor Yacht Axioma. She was arrested in Gibraltar in March. She was seized because of an arrest warrant, which was issued from JP Morgan. It was issued by the marshals of Gibraltar, but because of an outstanding loan from JP Morgan Bank, the vessel was therefore seized and sold at auction. So what we told you was that a buyer had already been selected, which is the word they used. A buyer was selected, not the highest bidder won the boat, but a buyer was selected. And we said that even before the auction had started, that the movements of the boat seemed to have already been predefined, and that the vessel was going to Turkey to the owner of the shipyard that originally built it, Dunya Yachts. And I said that most likely the vessel's going to end up back with the original owner, or it will be sold and the owner will get, some of the money back that he was owed from that boat. But most likely it will end up back with the original owner. As far as movements, I think the vessel's going to go to Palma first before heading to Turkey. The reason why I've brought this story up today is because the AIS on that vessel, which has been on the entire time since she got into Gibraltar, was switched off 3 days ago. So the AIS is now off on that vessel, and I think that that's probably the first stage of that vessel leaving Gibraltar. So most likely the vessel is preparing to leave, and they've turned off the AIS. So when they do leave, we won't be able to track them, at least from AIS, but I'm sure we will be able to track that vessel anyway with the amount of people that we have subscribed who watch for these vessels entering their marinas. All right, so we'll move on to the next story. Still a few stories to go, and that is sailing yacht A. Now, at the Monaco Yacht Show, there was a story circulating about sailing yacht A, and the story was that the vessel had secretly left Trieste, the dry dock in Trieste in the shipyard there, and it had left secretly. Now, I immediately started to check the AIS, and it was still broadcasting from the dry dock. A subscriber who lives closer than I do was able to get some aerial footage. That's what you're looking at right now. This was taken yesterday on Sunday, the 2nd of October, and you can see that the yacht is still in the marina, in the shipyard. Now, what is interesting about this is that the forward mast has been refitted. Now, we mentioned it in a previous video, but then there was some uncertainty about whether that had actually happened. Now, the shipyard is not talking to us, and neither is the Italian government, about who is paying for that work to be carried out on the boat. Now, that mast was in the shipyard, covered, and it was being repaired, and that has been fitted. Now, you can guarantee that somebody's paying that shipyard, because shipyards don't work for free. So somebody's paying for that bill. We don't know who it is. But anyway, we're going to keep track of the yacht, and if it does move, we'll let you know where it heads. All right, so we're moving on now. Now back to Alicia Usmanov and motor yacht Dilbar. Now, we told you in a recent video that Dilbar had moved from Hamburg, but not until they had removed the tarpaulin, and they had after the vessel left the dry dock and it was lifted out of the water in Bremen onto this floating dry dock, we were able to see that they'd actually refitted the shafts and the propellers to the boat. Now, they were out at the time of Mr. Usmanov being sanctioned, and then the shipyard had to down tools and they weren't able to complete the work on that vessel. I'm also informed that the stabilizers had been removed for maintenance also. Now, as you can see from the footage, which was taken by a subscriber in Bremen, the shafts and the propellers, I mean, we can't see the shafts, but the fact that the propellers are on the vessel means that the shafts were replaced. Also, the stabilizers have been replaced, and all the antennas on the top deck, which some had been removed, it's all been put back. Now, again, the same question, who is paying for that work? Because it is for sure that somebody's paying the shipyard. Shipyards don't work for free. Now, we did talk about the fact that they wanted to make way for another vessel to go into that dry dock, which is fair enough, but they did an awful lot of work that wasn't necessary to move that vessel. Now, and also, they've lifted the vessel out of the water into a 350-meter floating dry dock. Why is it out of the water if they want to store it? If that vessel is just being stored long-term in Bremen, why is it in a dry dock? Now, what we've been told by sources is that money is now moving again. Now, that, in other words, that Lursen is being paid for this work, and I assume that means that the owner is paying, right? Because who else would pay? And also other vessels that have also been frozen, money is starting to flow on them as well, including motor yacht Luna. We are reliably informed that this is happening. So in that statement that we got from Lursen recently, they said that they are complying with everything from within the guidelines of the EU sanctions, or the rules of the EU sanctions. But if the owner's paying for the work on his vessel, that is clearly does not line up with the fact that the owner is under sanctions, right? If he's paying, because he's not allowed to pay and nobody is allowed to accept payment for any work based on those sanctions. Now, if Lursen are being paid by the owner of Dilbar, which is, don't forget, officially Alicia Usmanov's sister, then how are they doing that? And I hypothesized that the fact that his other sister, not the one that was listed as the owner, had been removed from sanctions was somehow meaning that money was able to be transferred, right? So maybe the sister is paying for the work. Yeah, we don't know. But like I said, everybody's being very tight-lipped about this, but this is clearly happening right now. I just want to go on to one last thing, which is we have a new channel. I've already mentioned it once or twice on here before, but we've got a new channel. It's called 3 Minutes of Maritime. Very similar to the idea of 3 Minutes of Aviation, but it's for ships. We've just hit 10,000 subscribers, so I'm very excited about that. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is 3 minutes of maritime to do with interesting articles. Like the most recent video shows the launch of Project Enzo, which became Motia Apo, which is at the Monaco Yacht Show, and some accidents and some things that are happening in the maritime industry. Be sure to check it out. I will put a link up here in the top corner, and I will put one in the description. Please be sure to help us out. Go over there and subscribe. We are well on our way to having a successful other channel. It's not just about super yachts, by the way. It's about all vessels, anything to do with maritime. If you've got any information for us, you know how to get in touch with us. You do it through the About page on the YouTube channel. You can do it through Instagram, through Facebook Messenger, and through Threema. Be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell for future notifications. And be sure to leave a comment below about these stories. Let me know what you think about the way things are going with the sanctions. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.